want you to think about the last time you got into an argument and you were like 1,100% right. There's no way, like logically, factually, even metaphorically speaking, that you could have been correct, right? There's absolutely no way. But the way you deliver the information kind of left you feeling heavy. If not even kind of, it definitely left you feeling heavy because you were disrespectful, you were loud, you were angry, you just weren't able to convey your points in a calm and respectful way. And that's not like a design flaw, right? Like that's meant to happen because the Prophet ﷺ gives different advice in terms of how we should be dealing with other people and how we should regulate our emotions. Today I want to talk about sabr and emotional discipline or emotional management, whatever you want to call it. Low-key emotional discipline sounds kind of cool. I don't know. But I think before I even start, I think anger is something that we should address. The Prophet ﷺ said in Sahih al-Bukhari 61:14, where the strong person is not someone who overcomes other people with their strength. Rather, the strong person is one who controls himself when he's angry. And I think the biggest takeaway from that is your strength is your restraint. Who you are as a person is not someone who you are when you're like super nice or you're like everything's going your way. In my opinion, the person you are is someone, or the person you are is you when you're upset or when you're angry or when you are facing pressure. I think that's a better way of saying it. When you're facing pressure, that's who you are as a person. Because anyone can be like super performative, anyone can be super nice when everything is going their way. But when things are not going your way, when you're getting punched in the face by life, even getting like a flying knee to the knee or to the face, I don't know, through the nose. That was like super, that's a weird, I don't know. You're fighting like John Jones a little bit. I don't know, man. But getting back to the point, who you are as a person when you're dealing with those situations is you, right? And that's who your true character is, in my opinion. That's not based on anything else, in my opinion. And the reason I say this is because literally anyone can be nice when they're like going all dandy and all that. I think I repeated that point 4 times, but this is unfiltered, and we will continue what's going on. Regardless, anger and I guess like emotion management kind of go hand in hand because obviously anger is emotion and should be managed. But I want you to think about a situation where you're talking to someone you respect and you love, like maybe like a family member or like a friend or I don't know, like a partner or something like that, and you get into an argument and they're just not understanding, right? Like I talked about at the beginning of the weather, they're just like they might even be disrespecting. I don't know, man. Maybe they're feeling kind of crazy. They're disrespecting you. They're calling you names. They're just not being a great guy. And internally, you're gonna feel like this tension build up, and because it happens to everyone, we're all human, and the tension's gonna be like, yo, I wouldn't let that slide. Yo, how could you say that? Yo, how could you say that? Yo, you're gonna let that slide, big dog. Yo, I don't know why your internal monologue's calling you big dog, but I don't know. You do your thing. And that tension is going to make you basically want to snap, to basically explode and just start yelling and being disrespectful to them. But this is when the advice of the Prophet ﷺ comes in. Are you someone who's strong? Are you someone who is able to control themselves when they're angry? And I think when you work on emotional intelligence, that's something that's very profound to think about. I think when it comes to working on it, something that I've been doing is to kind of, like I said, two-factor authentication. One is identifying your emotions, right? It's very important to know what you feel. It's important to be able to articulate into words, or at least to yourself, like, okay, I'm angry, okay, I'm upset, okay, I'm like low-key kind of nervous, okay, I'm like really happy. And what that does, it leads to reflection, right? Reflecting means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but in this case, when it comes to emotional management and emotional discipline, how can you reflect so that you can regulate your emotions in order to benefit other people, especially yourself as well? And that looks very different for many different people, but when it comes to arguments, I think that's something really, really important, because when it comes to an argument, there's different ways, or people have different definitions in terms of what it means to win the argument. For me, I'm usually trying to help other people. I don't know. Like, I feel like I get into an argument because I want to help someone else, or I want to teach them something, or I want to do something with them, right? An argument has many different ways, but often it's like conversation that became a little bit sour. I don't know. But for me, to win it, one, the other person needs to be heard for real. It's not just like they need to feel heard. That's important, but I need to understand what they're saying. That's a big part of winning a conversation, right? Winning an argument. Two, once you hear them, that's when you make them feel heard, because that's actually genuine. And three, reaching consensus together, right? Even if it's like agree to disagree or something, at the very least, you need to reach a consensus. Those three things, if they're accomplished, you won the argument. Different people different people have different kind of wins for arguments, and obviously that's up to you. If you want to like straight up humiliate someone else, I don't know, man. But for me, I'm trying to help people, right? I'm trying to make sure that they're going to be benefited. And that's why it's so important for me to be able to manage my anger, be able to understand my emotions, and be able to articulate my points in a way that's not going to belittle someone else. Because I've never had a situation where someone's trying to teach me something, and that if they yell at me, it's going to make me understand better. I'm not going to be like, because you yelled at me, I understand 1 + 1 is 2. It just gets to the point, like, sure, it gets to the point, but like, at what cost? I feel that I'm not able to come to you for help anymore. I feel that I'm not able to kind of open up to you. It just takes away from the situation. So that's why manners in your outlook are so important. As some practical advice, or I guess one piece of practical advice, is just kind of staying silent when you're angry, right? Because that basically stops you from exploding, and two, it really grounds you in terms of your goal again. Are you trying to help this person, or are you trying to win the argument by humiliating them, right? And by having that support, by having that patience, it really like allows you to kind of go back on like, hey, you know what, right now, this is not the right time for us to talk about this. Let's revisit this situation. Or, hey, here's a different angle. Or, hey, anything other than, like, yo, you're wrong, right? And turning into, like, a bent alien, right? Because we don't want to explode. We don't want to, like, snap at people. Because it leaves us feeling healthy. It leaves us feeling like, not overstimulated, but guilty, and it makes us overthink and all that. And that tension, that heaviness, it, like, sure, you can say sorry, but it doesn't go away. And I feel like that's, like, low-key sometimes a blessing, right? It reminds you, like, every single time that, like, oh, if I yell at this person, I'm going to feel this happiness. So let's find a separate situation. And the two things I kind of want to leave you at is that one, make sure you reflect, because reflection is how you're going to improve if you take action on that reflection. And two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy on all of us. He is the most merciful, right? And I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, subhanAllah. But we know from hadith that when we have mercy on other people, the one in the heavens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has mercy on us. And if you're able to have mercy on people every single time you talk, by making sure that you regulate your emotions and you make sure that you are someone who has good character, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you for that. So if you have the right intentions and you're ready to do the right thing and you try and try and try, you will get the reward. So never feel that your sabr is going to be wasted. Never feel that your sabr is going unnoticed, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees everything. He knows everything. He hears everything. So just know that the internal struggle you're having, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows you're going through it. And if you're able to get through it successfully, or even partially successfully, just know that you're going to get rewarded for this one day. With that, don't get angry or try to manage it better. I don't know if you can do that, but see you guys in the next video.